story number 2. Oh boy, gang. Do I have to do this? You know, there are some people whom you disagree with, but you can still admit that they are actually, well, no, that's not the right way to say it. There are people that you dislike, but who don't annoy you. People that you dislike, people that you disagree with, but whom seeing them, hearing them, does not make you want to punch your fist through a sandbag out of frustration. Okay, there are some people like that. And then there are other people, of course, who really make you want to just beat sandbags into a pulp all day long. Megan Rapinoe, the U.S. women's soccer captain, she's one of those people for me. Every time she opens her mouth, every time she says something, I just want to start basically, beating sandbags to infinitum. So this story unites it unites Megan Rapinoe with one of our favorite reoccurring characters here on the Stone, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. And this is a cocktail that is so deliciously bitter that it's not even funny. Now this highlighted, the website Now This, they highlighted a stream that Megan Rapinoe did with AOC, where Megan Rapinoe was basically asking softball questions about the coronavirus relief bill to AOC. And they were kind of going back and forth. Basically, it was a power girl, quote unquote, team up, right? Get extra views and everything because, oh wow, it's AOC and it's Megan Rapinoe. However, at one point in the video, at one point in this stream, and the link to the whole stream that Now This showed is in the description box, Megan Rapinoe said that illegal aliens, undocumented workers, she called them, are the backbone of the American economic system. Okay? They say that they're the ones who run the economy. And so she said that it was a disgrace that these undocumented workers were being left out of the conversation about the coronavirus relief bill, relief bills in general, the virus in general, etc., etc. And AOC agreed with her by saying that she was absolutely right because illegal aliens, don't you know, they pay into the American system. They pay $14 billion every year. So they should damn well have a seat at the table and get relief from this bill. Okay? It's one of those things that you have to really see and hear to believe. So here is the section of the video in question.
Is there any sort of provision or protections in for like a student visa or work visa and like undocumented workers, which frankly I think have probably been totally left out of the conversation, but which are, the major gears of this economy and of our society that, people just want to pretend like they aren't, but I'm like, it can't go on without those people. So is there any protections or anything in there for them, or how is that working?
So again, I've been talking about a lot of the drawbacks in this bill. Literally what we were told from the Republicans, what I've been told in the negotiations with Mitch McConnell and Donald Trump and all of these folks, is that they said anything for immigrants is a non-starter.
Right,
undocumented immigrants pay taxes. We pay, undocumented people pay to the tune of $14 billion in taxes. And that means that undocumented people who are making our food, cooking in restaurants, stocking our stores, they pay more in taxes than Facebook does, than Amazon does, than a lot of big banks and GM does. And so, frankly, we're using public money to fund a lot of these corporations that aren't paying into this pot, and we're cutting out people who are paying into this system.
Now, I told you that it was wild, King. Wild. Now, oh my gosh. So there are a few things that I just have to say, okay, off the top of my head. First of all, okay, when almost 10 million Americans have filed for unemployment, okay, 10 million Americans have filed for unemployment since this coronavirus started, okay? When you have that sort of situation, when that has happened, it is the height. It is the height of pettiness, of ideological tone deafness, and it is completely and utterly insulting to say that illegal aliens make the economy run. Okay? When 10 million American citizens, okay, of every nationality, every color, right? Natural Americans, natural born Americans, naturalized Americans, when all those people are out of work, it is a slap in their face to then say that illegal aliens are the backbone of the American economy and that they make the economy work. And it is especially insulting when someone like Megan Rapinoe says it. Okay? Here we have Megan. You want a picture of privilege? Look to Megan Rapinoe. Right? Young, white woman who happens to be a lesbian, or who practices a lesbian lifestyle, let us say, right? Which means that she's intersectional, which means that she gets woke points, which are then double because, of course, she thinks the right way. Remember, I'm not going to the effing White House, etc., and all that. So she is the height of elite. She is not one of the common people. She is one of the elite. One of the elite who is worth $3 million. $3 million. I have a feeling that she is not going to be suffering at all from this economic shutdown brought about from the coronavirus. She's not going to be suffering at all. Or she's not going to be suffering nearly as much as other people. Like any of these 10 million people who have had to go onto unemployment because of this economic shutdown, who then got to hear Megan Rapinoe lecture them about how they don't matter to the American economy. It's the undocumented workers. They're the real heroes of this story. And so it's even a worse shame that they are being, quote unquote, left out of the conversation. Okay? That's first and foremost. It is a huge slap on the face. It is a slap on the face. What Megan Rapinoe did to all of those workers and to all of us, right? Whether, if to all Americans, whether you were a natural born American or whether you're a naturalized American, right? You or your family, immigrated from another country, legally, you followed the rules and you did everything by the book because you wanted to contribute something, you wanted to become an American, and you wanted to do it, above board. And also because, you weren't fleeing from an oppressive dictatorship or religious persecution, etc. You weren't a refugee or anything like that, right? What Megan Rapinoe did is she basically tripped you. She stuck out her foot and tripped you and then spat and then stomped on your stomach, spat in your face, and then slapped you while you were still on the ground. That is what Megan Rapinoe did metaphorically when she said this. That's number one. Number two, let's look a little bit at what AOC said, where she said that illegal aliens contribute $14 billion in taxes every year to the American system. Okay? Now, in 2016, in an article in Forbes, Niall McCarthy said that in total, illegal aliens pay $11.6 billion in state and local taxes every year, with at least 50% of undocumented immigrant households filing tax returns using individual tax identification numbers. And then he broke it down. $6.9 billion in sales and excise taxes, $3.6 billion in property taxes, and about $1.1 billion in personal income taxes. Now, here's the thing. 4 years ago, Neil McCarthy, you probably caught this, said that undocumented aliens contribute about $11.6 billion. AOC said $14 billion. No one really knows how much illegal aliens contribute economically to the American economy, because the thing is, no one knows for sure how many illegal aliens there are in the United States. This is 2020, and you've probably seen ads or gotten reminders that it's a census year, right? Happens every 10 years. Well, if you remember, and I know that you guys do, last year, 2018, and last year, 2019, there was a huge fuss made because the Trump administration wanted to add a question. I forget if it was just one question or if it was a couple of questions that was going to ask every person who filled out the census if they were a legal resident or not, if they were a citizen, a legal resident, an undocumented alien, etc., etc. And the left raised a huge hue and cry over this. They said that this was racist. They said that this was fascist. They said that this was, immaterial, that this was divisive, that this was, you know the drill. You guys know the left, right? And so you know very well what they said and how they framed that issue. But here's the thing, because nobody knows, because you're not allowed to ask questions like that, nobody knows exactly how many illegal aliens are in the United States. So if you don't know that, you can't know exactly how much they're contributing to society. So there's that point. Now, with that out of the way, it is true that illegal aliens, do contribute anywhere between $11 billion and $18 billion into the economy, okay? However, there is more to the story than that, as per usual. So, what the rest of the story, as Paul Harvey would say, is that while illegal aliens are contributing anywhere between 11 and $18 billion to the U.S. economy, they are actually costing the government $30 billion a year in lost revenue because they displace American workers who would be taxed more likely at higher brackets. They cost the American economy $118 billion a year in lost wages. The Federation for American Immigration Reform, FAIR, found that in 2017, the total cost of illegal immigration was $116 billion. Okay? So even though they are putting things into the pot through sales tax, property tax, etc., they are costing much more than they are actually putting in. And that's not a racist statement. That's not a xenophobic statement. That is simply, a statement of numbers, right? The numbers have been crunched, and that is the result that we have. So, AOC really doesn't have a leg to stand on when she tries to say that, illegal aliens as a group, they contribute $14 billion to the economy. Yeah, after costing the economy $116 billion. So, no, you still don't have a leg to stand on in any way, shape, or form. Neither AOC nor Megan Rapinoe does. Okay, so really the question is, what is this all about? What is the motivation behind this continued insistence that, illegal aliens and undocumented workers, etc., they need to have a place at the table, that they need to be part of the conversation, that they should be getting relief too because they're people as well, and your legal status doesn't, it doesn't say anything about your status as a person, your moral status as a human being, etc., etc., etc. All of this is designed to erase the difference between citizens and non-citizens. that's what's going on here, gang. Okay? Because what is actually happening here? At the back of this proposal that illegal aliens have, that their opinions should be about, this relief bill be taken into consideration, that they receive relief checks along with everybody else. What they are saying is that people who have broken the laws, just laws, I will add, that they should also benefit. You break the law, you don't get punished. Instead, you get a benefit. Instead, you are made a hero. And that is what is going to erase the difference between citizens and non-citizens here in the United States. Because while we all agree that people have natural rights just on the basis of their being human, there are also things called civil or political rights, which you only get from being part of a specific political society. So, for example, I can't vote in an election in France, right? Because I'm not French. I'm not a French citizen. I am not part of French society or French culture. Now, put me and a Frenchman side by side, and you know what? We're both humans. We'll do one better. We're both men too, okay? So we're both male human beings, right? So we have the same human nature, which means that we have the same natural rights. However, I can't vote in French elections, he can't vote in American elections, because I'm not a French citizen and he's not an American citizen. Voting is a civil right. It is a political right, okay? It's not necessarily a natural right. You have a natural right to think and to speak. And from there we can say that, well, the right to vote extends from that. But it only extends to the culture and to the society of which you are a part. Okay? What this is trying to do, it is trying to say that civil rights, political rights, they don't exist. And that's a big deal, because civil and political rights, those are the things that separate citizens from different countries. It's part of nationalism. Okay? And so if you get rid of that differentiation, what you are getting rid of actually is the differentiation of nations, of nationhood, of foreigners, citizens, etc., etc. Okay? And especially this is going to happen with language like they've been cut out of the conversation. That's what this is about. That's what this is about, because then it extends the part of the progressive utopia is about erasing that differentiation, because they don't want there to be a differentiation between citizens and foreigners. They don't, because again, of course, because that actually allows them, by saying that there shouldn't be a division, that allows them to extend their power, because then voila, illegal aliens all of a sudden become an intersectional group who are oppressed, right? So if you say that those differences should be erased so that you're not oppressed anymore, you automatically win their loyalty and their votes. Now, that's the reason for that. Now, if these people need help, like if they are, starving to death, absolutely help them. But if Megan Rapinoe and her progressive friends are really so damn concerned about these undocumented immigrants, then why don't they donate some of their own money specifically to helping these people? Why not? Okay? Why? I mean, like I said, Megan Rapinoe is worth $3 billion. I mean, not $3 billion, excuse me, $3 million. Surely she can spare, a couple of measly $1,000 to help the backbone of the American economy. Or does she not care about the American economy? Huh? Because she's so spoiled and rich and, egotistical and narcissistic that she really doesn't care, and it's just something that she says because, well, that's what you're supposed to say, right? One of the elite caring, expressing, feigning concern for the peons, as it were. And one more point here, too, on this story. If illegal aliens are going to receive help from the federal government, okay. If you're starving, you want to check, fine. You have to declare what your legal status is, and then that has to be double-checked by the proper authorities. And then, if they find out that you are an undocumented worker, then, you have to basically, face the consequences of that decision. That's how it would work. That's how justice should work. That is story number 2.